The facility on the men's side is the exact same to the facility on the women's side. That was like really cool as a female in sport, because often in Australia that still isn't a thing even now.
It takes a lot of sacrifice to get to the top. Sacrifice is kind of the ticket for admission, and there's years of blood, sweat and tears and missing out on friends' birthdays and things like that it takes to actually be at the top.
People learn in their own ways. Not everyone's going to react the same way to your leadership style. Not everyone, you can't get the best out of everyone in the same way. So learning how people respond to, I think, has been the biggest lesson learned as a leader.
Welcome to 4TG.
Issie Bourne, welcome to the 4TG podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Now, this will be a ripper podcast, because to have someone of your stature in the basketball world and to talk about all things about, you know, how you got there to the top essentially, but all the things we don't talk enough about, which is the sacrifices that you've had to make, the pressure that once you're there, you have to also sustain that position as well. And then how you find love and sustain love for the game when it becomes a full-time job. So I'm looking forward to your insights in that. I think that will help a lot of listeners. But before we get there, I want to know a little bit more about your childhood in sport, because from what I've seen, you've come from a very sporty family, and you also have two sisters who are very good at basketball as well. And Callie played at Idaho State, and rumour has it, and by rumour I mean Wikipedia has it, that you played against each other over there.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I was lucky enough they kind of organised a practice game in the COVID era, so there was no crowd. Had to wear masks. It was like a very interesting experience. It was really fun. Like, I feel like kind of iconic. Like, we grew up playing one-on-one in like the driveway, playing together growing up like all those years, and then to play like in another country so far away from home against each other, it was like really surreal. So it was fun.
Who won?
We did.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I have like those bragging rights. I think she had better stats though, so she always holds that against me. But it was really fun to be able to, I don't know, just play against each other and see each other, because it was very rare that we got to see each other throughout the year, so it was really fun.
So was basketball always on the cards for you? Was that the main sport growing up? I think we played a lot of sports growing up, but it quickly became the main sport. So we played netball, Oz tag, a little bit of volleyball here and there for the school, more social, but quickly seriously became basketball. I think just following in my sister's footsteps growing up, I was like, whatever they did, I was doing it. So I had to join in basketball. But we quickly became really close. Every second we were spending together was basketball, school, more basketball, basketball on weekends. So it took over our lives very quickly. And your parents' lives, I can imagine.
Yes. Yeah, they that's another, so grateful for them, because I wouldn't be where I am without them. They took me to everything and supported me through everything, which is really cool. But I think took away from their social life probably a little bit with all the running around they had to do for us. So thank you to the parents.
Sacrifices the parents make as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you grew up in Canberra, which we're just discussing, God's country. Spent a few years there and loved it. Did you spend much time at the Ruck?
At the Ruck?
The Rugby Union Club?
No, definitely did not. No. All I knew was basketball in Canberra. I think growing up in Canberra, there's not much else to do, I would say, other than find a sport. Growing up there, I think women in sport in Canberra wasn't massive. It's probably getting better now, I assume, but wasn't massive. Not many people did it. I feel like girls my age didn't really stick around sports for long, maybe a little bit growing up, but it quickly dwindled towards the teenage years. So it was mostly basketball, but I don't remember being like, there wasn't many women in basketball growing up from what I remember from my age group. So I felt like it was a very small community. That's maybe why I loved it, because it was like the same people, like really close friends that I still have that used to play with in juniors that we stuck all the way through, but dwindled pretty quickly.
So what did your journey look like in basketball? Because like obviously you've played college in Nebraska, then you're now playing in the WNBL. So, how did you get into that being from Canberra? What did the development pathways look like?
I look back and think how lucky I was to come in at the time I did. There wasn't heaps of pathways going through to college at that time, but I was really lucky to come in the time I did. Phil Brown is a highly regarded coach, came into basketball ACT and kind of took over the high performance program and took in like at the perfect timing that I was coming into basketball at a higher level and said, you know, we can do things that get you to college, and you can go to college, earn a degree and play basketball, which I didn't even know was a thing. He came in and took us on a tour when we were in high school to these American colleges and showed us like, this is something you can do. So I was very, very lucky to have someone like him come in and show us, and then, you know, doing trainings and individual skill workouts with him took me to another level. I'd say, yeah, a lot of thank yous to a lot of different coaches growing up, but yeah, specifically him who got me even into the Institute of Sport. I think without him in that pathway in my early stages of basketball, I wouldn't have got into a lot of different things without that. So I think huge thank you to him and a lot of other coaches. But yeah, without him, I wouldn't have gone to AIS, and I think even without AIS, I probably wouldn't have gone to the college I did. So there's heaps of little stepping stones along the way that I think a lot of people don't get the opportunity. I was lucky too, as a Canberra kid even. So yeah, I think a lot of thank yous to the people who started that process for me. Yeah.
Makes you think of just like the amount of wasted potential just because they don't know the pathways. There's no awareness of it. And
Correct.
They don't realize the opportunity's there. So you just sort of need that gatekeeper to essentially say, this is possible, this is how you do it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many kids now that are lucky enough to go to US, and I don't know if you know, like the NIL deals now that you can go to college and make crazy amounts of money, like more money than you can be saving for houses and stuff like that. So the difference from back then to not even knowing college was a thing to now you can make, you know, enough money to save for a house and your life. Like it's incredible how far it's come.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Nebraska and how that came about, because stereotypically all I know about Nebraska is that there's lots of corn. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So corn huskers, a lot of like corn cobs being thrown around. Through the college recruiting process, it's a bit of a different experience back then. It's hard to, as an Australian, get seen as it is in America, because you know how far we are away. So I had to get quite a few highlight videotapes out. Sometimes the American coaches will come out to Australia and watch our state tournament. So when, you know, Vic or ACT play each other, that sort of stuff. Got recruited by a few colleges and went over for about 2 weeks to visit the top colleges that I had in mind, and visited Nebraska, and it just felt like home. I think the biggest thing for me was making that shift to America. I wanted somewhere that felt comfortable, safe. I felt supported. Obviously, I wanted a high level of basketball, but the number one thing was feeling safe and supported. So that was why Nebraska was top for me. I felt like the coaches and just hanging around the team, it felt like the right culture and fit for me. So I ended up choosing Nebraska, and it's the best decision ever, because a lot of colleges are really tough and the coaches can be a bit different than what you expected, and I didn't have that experience. I was lucky enough to go for 4 years, loved it. It's got exactly what I wanted out of it. Felt like home to me. The coaches were like a second family to me, so very, very grateful for that experience.
Yeah, awesome. So did you get approached to go to Nebraska, or do you sort of like put an application in for a few different universities?
No, I got approached. Back then, it was, I know some people did approach colleges themselves to kind of get their name out there. I'm sure it's very different now. They're probably very aware, because a lot of Australians, it's way more common to go to America now. So I'm sure it's a much easier process than it was. But I did get approached by a few different ones.
Awesome. So a lot of people sort of underestimate the non-sporting demands when it comes to college sport, whether that's, the study load, the homesickness, your identity shifts and things like that. So what was the biggest shock moving from Australia to the US to do college basketball for you?
Oh, it's a tough question. The biggest shock, I think just going over there, and I didn't know anyone personally. I knew, of the coaches because they'd recruited me. So, I knew them through conversation and we'd met, but I didn't actually really know anyone over there. So the biggest shift is going over there, not knowing what's coming either. I guess you're going over there pretty blindsided. You have an idea of what it might be like, and oftentimes it's not quite what you expected. So I think finding a way to create your community and find your people, that was probably the biggest shock. Not that to say that I didn't have good people around me, but it is hard to develop like relationships where you feel comfortable with people and find your friends, because you don't have that access to family like a lot of them do, a lot closer to home. So yeah, finding your people was probably the biggest shock, and very, very lucky to have that. I had really good teammates and kind of found my people pretty quickly. Yeah.
Did you feel that you didn't perform as well at the start just because you didn't have those sort of support networks and you were sort of getting integrated in the new culture and everything?
Yeah, I would say there was a lot of changes, and the load was insane, having to go from classes back to trainings to film to weights. There's just so much going on. So the adjustment period for me was definitely big in my freshman year. And the style of play for basketball itself is way different over there, I would say. So I think adjusting in that freshman year was pretty tough. I kind of found my way towards the very end of my freshman year, but the first year was difficult, but necessary. Like everyone goes through it. You got to do it. Found a way, so it was good.
Yeah. And what was like the living standards and stuff? Did you live with a family? Did you have your own place?
Yeah. So the freshman year, you have to live on campus. So you live in a dorm situation. I was with 3 of my teammates and then 1 swimmer. So you're often with other athletes just because you're waking up at similar hours early in the morning, early nights. So that was great. I loved my teammates. So I had a really good time my freshman year. And then the year after that, you can move out and they give you, more money towards rent, which is something I did. I found teammates that I enjoyed being around. So we got a house together, which was really fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so what did a sort of day in the life look like over there when you were studying and playing?
We had classes in the morning, a lot of different people with different degrees. So it depended on what you were studying. A lot of people had to do hours. Maybe if they're teachers, they had to go in and do hours for teaching or nursing or whatever your degree is. You had classes, during the morning, and then after lunch was training for us. So we had maybe around 2 to 5 p.m. we had training, as well as like an hour film before that, individuals, and then weights as well. So trying to fit that in was often a long day. And then you have study. I think freshman year, I can't really remember, but I think it was just freshman year you had study hours to complete as well. So you had to go in on campus and complete a certain amount of study hours per week as well on top of that. So didn't have any time to breathe, really. Yeah.
And what did you study while you were there?
I studied communication. I actually went in undeclared just because I wasn't sure what direction I wanted to go. And America's gives you that option. You can go in undeclared and get all your kind of electives that you have to do for every degree done while you're deciding, and you can take different classes. So I took some business classes, some marketing classes, just to kind of test out what I felt like was my niche. And then I think chose communication just because it was a wide variety of things that I think probably I could see myself doing. So I ended up choosing communication 2 years in.
Beautiful. Yeah. Very transferable.
Yeah, exactly. that too. That was a massive thing too. Yeah.
That's it. And what was like the one quirky thing that you missed about Australia? Like I know when I lived in Indonesia and Scotland, I missed lollies, like real lollies, like your Allen's lollies. No one else just seems to do them well. Like you can keep your trolley or your Haribo. Yeah. So what was your little quirky thing?
I missed our breakfast, like cafes. Like our cafe, there's nowhere that have, first of all, our coffee is like top tier. It's not even close to the same. You've been living in Melbourne
long enough now to know.
The coffee, but just like even the cafe vibes, I feel like aren't the same in Australia. You have we're very brunchy type people, so I think I missed that the most.
Yeah, American coffee just doesn't quite hit
the
mark, does it?
It's not the same.
It's supersized, but it just doesn't quite have the same quality. Well, that's it's really interesting. And what was the standard like in terms of the money thrown at women's sport over there? Like were all the facilities stellar? Was it just like, the movies, how they've got amazing change rooms, locker rooms, gyms and everything that we don't really have yet in Australia? Yeah.
So the American college systems actually came in with a thing called Title IX. I don't know what year it was, but it was a while back, where the men's and women's programs have to have equal amounts of everything.
Wow.
So the facility on the men's side is the exact same to the facility on the women's side. So that was like really cool as a female in sport, because often in Australia that still isn't a thing even now. So going there and everything that the men get, the women get, which is awesome. So we had, insane facilities. Like it can't describe it. You have to go search it and look, because it's just, you can't put into words. But I think the biggest thing was chartered flights. Like you're turning up to flights, top driving a car up to the tarmac, hopping on the flight,
Oh, wow.
getting on the flight, and then after the game you hop, like the bus is waiting for you, take you to the tarmac, straight on the flight home. You're home that night after a game, which is like, you don't get that even in professional women's sports. So yeah,
That's a movie, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, very, very lucky.
Yeah. So now, as I was just saying, I was trying to write down some of your milestones here, but it ended up being a whole bloody page. So you became one of only 14 players in the Husker school system. Is that it?
Yeah.
To reach combined career milestones of 1,200 points and 600 rebounds. And you also served as the team's co-captain as a sophomore, junior and senior. How did it feel going to a fresh country, not knowing anyone, and then being one of the best players and obviously well respected to be nominated as a co-captain?
Yeah, I think coming into my sophomore year, and the coach asking me to be a co-captain was, I think I took it for surprise of how they kind of viewed me and my role in that team. I think, obviously, like I said, my freshman year I had a lot of adjustments to make towards the end, kind of found my way, but for them to see, how valued I was in that system and in that team, not just as a player, but as like a captain of that nature was really cool. And I think really motivated me in a different way to become like a better person and player. And I kind of saw my potential as a basketball player.
So what do you think set you apart as a leader on the court? Like, what in your opinion looks like great leadership?
I'm still figuring that out. I think I still have a lot to learn in that area, but I really value that area and I want to learn more. I don't think I've ever had the answers for that area. But I think over the years learning that I'm a really consistent person. I try to, like, in my mood, in the way I work, I want to turn up every day the same. So I think that leading by example is kind of the way I've always done leadership. But I think there's, way more ways you can affect a team, and still learning to be, more vocal as a leader and helping people find their own leadership roles. I think everyone leads in their own way, and trying to bring the best out of people is something that I think is important in leadership as well. Yeah.
What do you think's been one of the biggest lessons you've learned in leadership so far?
I think, like I said, that people lead in their own ways and people learn in their own ways. Not everyone's going to react the same way to your leadership style. Not everyone, you can't get the best out of everyone in the same way. So learning how people, like what people respond to, I think has been the biggest lesson learned as a leader. And some people need, a little extra love and attention. Some people don't really want to be talked to at times. So it's like just learning your teammates' niches and what they like and don't like.
Yeah, it's very individualistic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some teammates, they like direct feedback, and other teammates like to be taken aside quietly, given a pat on the back, and then told in a constructive criticism sandwich. So it's really just people management, isn't it? And understanding psychology of people. So I find leadership extremely fascinating, especially in the sporting realm, where mentally you can be so in tuned, but it's just like you need to bring that team with you so that they're on the same wavelength. So it's very fascinating.
It is. There's so much to learn there. I don't think there's ever the right answer. I think no one's really got leadership down to a T just yet. I think there's just so much, so many different things to learn about it.
Have you ever had like leadership coaching or anything as part of your career?
I actually took a minor in leadership communication at college as well. So I probably should have mentioned that as well. But yes, I did take a minor in that just because that was a little extra part that I could add on. It looked really cool, and I'm really interested in leadership and using that to my advantage. So I did learn a little bit of that in college.
And have you applied what you've learned on the court?
I try to. Sometimes, Sometimes doesn't always work, but try to.
Brilliant. So your career was sort of cut a little bit short with COVID, is that right? Is that why you sort of came home a bit earlier, or did the season just sort of finish naturally? Yeah,
so with COVID, you had the option to take an extra year because typically you only get 4 years at college. And then with COVID coming around, and it was kind of weird, they gave everyone an option of an extra year. So it was actually, came to the end of my 4 years. And I just felt like I had achieved everything I wanted at that time. Wouldn't say I was homesick, but I did miss being home, and I just felt like I was ready for something new. So I didn't end up taking my 5th year, which I could look back and maybe I could have taken it. But I think took the right option and kind of turned out well for me so far. So I think it was the right choice. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit now about your transition from college to professional basketball back here and the new challenges that sort of created.
Yeah, I think coming back, signed 2-year contract with Adelaide with the WNBL. I think quickly learning that, with college, like I said, your whole schedule's, the whole day's like built out for you. They've pretty much set a whole schedule. You don't have room to breathe. Yes. And then you come to WNBL and there's a lot more room to breathe, but that's kind of for you to figure out. I think it took me a while to realize all the stuff on top of what your schedule is that you have to do to be great. And it's often, off your own bat, self-motivation, stuff that you have to do on the side extra. If you really want to be great and be a great basketball player, it's often not kind of written out for you like it is in college. So I think learning all the stuff that you have to add in on top of, your training sessions with professional basketball was a big learning curve for me. Yeah.
And how did you find the transition from like amazing facilities to probably still good facilities, but not quite the level of money thrown at it?
I was pretty aware of what I was walking into. Before I went to America, I was a development player for the Canberra Capitals. So I kind of saw the behind the scenes of what it's like to be in the WNBL. So coming back, I kind of had an expectation of what it would be like. I was warned about it. I kind of knew that, it's not going to be anything near what I was getting in America, but I was okay with that. So I think for me, it wasn't as much of a struggle just because I kind of had an expectation or knew what it was going to be like.
Yeah. And in the American system at college, were you, like, did they pay you then?
No. They pay you a per diem per month, technically towards rent and food because you're not living on campus, which often didn't even meet close to what you were spending on rent and food. So you kind of could save a little bit. But not compared to now what the kids are making over there is not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
To be 5 or 10 years younger.
Yeah, exactly.
No, well, it's good that, you've obviously been a bit of a pioneer in the space. You're making it a better space that all these young ones can come into with better opportunities.
Exactly.
How did you find coming back into the professional stuff in Australia? Did you have to work part-time and train and everything to make ends meet? Luckily for me, no. A lot of people were and still are. I thought it was probably something I was going to have to start looking at. Yeah. Regardless of whether I was making enough, I think it's probably something that you should look at anyway, as anyone in sport, just because you don't know when your sporting career may come to an end. Injury, illness, or other circumstances, it's never forever. And even if you do go through, you're probably not making enough to retire straight after your time in sport. So it's important to look elsewhere and find other stuff outside of basketball. In professional basketball or whatever sport, do they sort of give you career counselling or anything to help you for once that transition occurs that you finish up with your sport? There's some of it starting to go around now. It's getting a lot better. We have a players association that provides information and stuff outside of sport. I know it wasn't a thing back in the day, but it's definitely getting better. It's trending towards the right direction now. I think we're learning, getting workshops on sometimes media training or social media training or finance, investment, stuff like that. There's opportunities that they're creating now where we can start, looking at stuff outside of basketball and creating our lives a bit, not just basketball all the time. Yeah, well, that's good because in an ideal world, you have a long career, but it can only just take one injury and, you're sort of left on your own a bit. Exactly, yeah. Yeah. And for purposes of just having a balance, I think it's important to not always just have basketball always on your mind. I think it's really important to have that mental break of you're focusing on something else as well. Yeah. So what's your mental break? What are your hobbies outside of basketball? My hobbies, what I like to do to get away, I like hanging out with my friends. Obviously it's most often my teammates because they have off days at the same time as me. I don't really get weekends off. So it's often my teammates. I like going to the beach. Just getting outside is the best thing for me. I'm looking at an internship with a marketing company and trying to get myself out there and figure out what I like outside of basketball. And it may not be for me in the future, but it's something that I can see if it's for me and if I want to continue that as well. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. And how have you felt your passion for the sport? Has it sort of sustained throughout your career? Has it gone in ebbs and flows? Like, did you find once you became professional at it that you sort of lost a bit of the passion for the sport itself?
For me, no. I think once I became a professional, I realised, where I can take it. And I think I found a little bit of my potential. I think before that, I wasn't sure if I was going to be, before coming back to professional, I thought, I was going to have to, get a second job, and it would probably be like a side thing. And I think once I got here and saw what I can do with it, I actually became more motivated than ever to kind of really pursue it. And I've always wanted to play for the Opals and go to the Olympics and do that. And for that to actually become, a possible thing for me in the future has like motivated me more than ever at the moment in my career. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you played in China this year, is that right? For the
correct.
Opals. So you ticked that box.
Yeah.
Olympics is next, is it?
That's the big goal is the Olympics. So
all right. Well, I can't wait to watch you there. We'll back you in. So behind obviously every contract, there's a list of sacrifices that athletes face that a lot of people don't necessarily see. We often see the highlight reels, we see the trophies, the medals, and how great it is, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. So what were some of the biggest sacrifices you think you've made to chase your dream?
Oh, there's a whole list.
How long have you got, you reckon?
I mean, for starters, I didn't go home for 2 years at one time in college. I didn't see my family for 2 years because of COVID and just staying over there for basketball in college. So like just that, for example, was one of the hardest things I've ever done, is be away from my home and my family for 2 years straight. I don't think I've had longer than 5 days at Christmas for the last 6 years now, over Christmas break. So I don't get that same time that everyone else has with their family. I'm lucky enough that I do sometimes get to spend Christmas with my family, but a lot of the time it's like back to it, get a break. So it's a lot of time away from family. Often social events are on weekends, so I've gotten to the point where I just know that if it's a weekend event, I'm probably not going to make it. So a lot of family and friend events miss out on, which now is like become the norm for me, which is probably not the greatest thing at times. Is like the social life sometimes takes a toll because I have to focus on my job and basketball and pursuing it, which I love. Like I wouldn't change it for the world, but yeah, I do miss out on a lot of social events and family time. So it is really tough. Yeah.
Have you felt at the top that sometimes it can become lonely because, as you say, you're not seeing all your friends, you're not seeing your family? Is that an element that you didn't really expect would be as prominent as it is? Yeah,
I think moving away from family, you've spent a lot of time alone as it is a team sport, but there's, a lot of alone time too. But I think I've found over the years that filling that alone time with productive things to make me better as a person and athlete, like spending times with my teammates to create a better culture or getting to know teammates, doing things outside of basketball like recovery and stuff to fill that lonely times is kind of what gets you through. I think spending too much time alone can be dangerous at times and start overthinking, but I think if you fill your alone time with the right things, it can really help and motivate you and become a better and really enjoy like your job like I do.
Yeah. How do you think over your career you have changed as an athlete? Like, do you think you originally tied your self-worth to performance more so than you do now, or has that always been pretty steady?
I think over the years I've learned to try and not tie my self-worth to my performance. It's hard. It's so hard as an athlete to not do that. I still do it to this day. But finding ways to, know that if you had a bad game, it doesn't make you a bad person. You're not terrible at everything. Like it's really hard to not get too low or get too high. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned over the career is, you could have a really good game and hit a winning shot, and you just have to like kind of bring yourself back to reality. It's like, it's not, you're not God's gift if you've had the best game, or you're not the worst person if you've had a bad game, and just trying to stay really level, I think is really, really important. And that's something I've learned, especially in my professional career, because it is a lot of pressure to have contracts and play and you prove yourself because your job, you have to keep getting more contracts. So just trying to really, keep yourself humble and, be a good teammate and try and not get too individualistic is tough at times, but it's what gets you to the next level, I feel like, if you can focus on team first culture. Yeah.
And I think that's true too. Like, you sort of think that once you make it, you've made it, but you have to sustain it, don't you? You have to keep getting new contracts and stay in that position because there's always someone who's just below you who's just itching for your position. So I guess you're always on.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, not always stats and stuff that show coaches and teams that you're valued. It's a lot of that people don't see. It's like the teamwork and how do you connect with other players, and are you a good person off the court? Are you a good teammate off the court? Are you contributing to a positive culture? I think is really important, and it actually helps a lot of people continue to stay in teams.
And that was the resounding theme when it came to you, when I spoke to your manager, and obviously the Southside Flyers, as they said that you were a legend both on and off the court, and you've had a huge change on the team since you've been there. So what do you think they meant by that? How do you show up for your team, and what, if you had any advice to give to, say, a 14-year-old girl now who wants to make it to the top, what personal advice can you give them as a person rather than athlete that they can have the biggest impact?
Yeah, I would say, like I said, how can you contribute to the team culture in a positive way, I think is the biggest thing. Whether you're, I think from 1 through 10, no matter where you sit on that line, whether you play or you don't play, what you do as a teammate matters so much. It can only take one person to be kind of derail a whole team. It takes one person to be the cancer of the team. So I think, how are you contributing, whether it's, are you cheering as loud as you can on the bench? Are you, checking in on teammates if you're not playing? If you are playing, like, how can you get better? Even if you're playing well, what can you do better to contribute to the team? Like, having a what can I contribute mindset is what kind of, takes you to the next level, I feel like.
And you've always seen, like, on paper, they have, like, some teams have the best players. They should win. Yeah. But it's the teams that have the on-court or on-field chemistry that there's something unsaid about that, and that they can just achieve anything that the stats wouldn't necessarily show. So it's about building that.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you find that culture and chemistry is built off the court predominantly?
Yeah, I think so. It's sometimes hard with professional teams. A lot of situations are different. Like, for example, Kayla George in our team is a mum. So we're obviously off the court, probably not going to see her as often. So it can be hard to, sometimes if we're having off-court stuff, for her to always be there and be around. Like, we understand people's situations are different, so it's finding ways to get to know each other around the times that you can, and really dive into, like, building trust with each other and being genuine with one another, I think is really important to develop, good team culture.
What would you say is your proudest achievement as a basketballer to date?
Probably between going to Asia Cup and winning gold, but also one that comes to mind is under 19 World Championships. We came second, very close. Like, we should have won. It's still a sore spot, but no, that was going back to the conversation of, we weren't the most talented team on paper. We weren't expected to go very far in that tournament. We actually almost beat USA, just because we had, I think, looking back at all the teams I've been on, it's probably one of the most genuine, most fun, good culture teams that I've been on, where everyone just celebrated each other's success, and it was a real team first culture, and that took us almost to winning the whole World Championship. So looking back at that, it's like, I still have goosebumps about that team and how much fun we had, and it's just a great time.
Yeah, and how can you replicate that?
Yeah, it's like hard.
All right, time for the deep question now.
Okay.
What is your most proudest achievement as a person?
As a person, it's hard to put one thing to mind, but I think whenever someone can attest to my value on a team being, a positive valued member, not necessarily my basketball abilities, but if I'm seen as someone who is positive to culture and a good person, then that's kind of what I pride myself on and what I want to be known as. So if anyone can attest to that, or kind of sees that in me, then that's probably my proudest achievement as a human, I guess. Yeah.
I think that leads nicely into the next one then. What sort of a legacy do you want to sort of leave off the court once your basketball career is finished?
Yeah, I guess, pretty much that same answer is like, I want to be a great person, a great teammate, and it's hard to do that at times when maybe you're having a tough season or, stuff is going on. But I think always having the mindset of team first, and like I said, what way can I contribute to make this a better environment and be a good person and be a valued team member no matter my performance, is probably something that I want to leave.
Well, there's some definitely golden nuggets there that I think everyone can follow. So knowing what you know now, what would you go back and tell 16-year-old Issie from Canberra?
Probably tell her just to trust the process. It can be really hard at times to know what the vision is and where you're going to go in life. I think just trusting the process and not comparing yourself to other people and their journey, just focusing on my own and what I can do to be the best in my own journey, I think would be the biggest thing I would tell myself.
Yeah. And what was your key bit of advice for an up-and-coming athlete, do you think?
I think just focus on your own journey. It's so hard in this day and age with social media and everything to compare. It's so easy to compare yourself to other people and their journey and what they're doing, and everything's a highlight reel on social media. So just focusing on yourself and how you can achieve, like, what are your goals and what do you want to achieve and what's the best way you're going to achieve them, I think is focusing on your own journey is the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yes, comparison the thief of joy.
Yes,
but it's so hard in this day and age, isn't it, with social media and all the influencers.
Yeah.
Yes. What is one thing that we can all do today, in your opinion, to help promote and strengthen women's sport? Visibility
and engagement. I'd say the two top is getting out to women's sport, supporting each other, engaging with social media and women's sport, talking about it with other women. I think just the better visibility we can get is great for women's sport, and I think it's becoming better and better as the years go by. But I think engaging more with it, talking about it more is really important.
So tell us a little bit about the Southside Flyers. When is your next home game? Tell us a little bit about how you're feeling for the season and what can the audience look forward to?
Yep, so our next home game is November 22nd against Sydney, 3 p.m, State Basketball Centre. Be there. What to look forward to, we're a really fun team. I think our head coach, Christy, has recruited a really team-first culture, and that's something that half the reason I signed is to be a part of that culture. And so, it's going to be a team that shares the ball, a team that works really hard on defense. So it's really fun to watch and be a part of. So get down to the State Basketball Centre.
Wow, I'm keen, and I'm equally keen to watch you play in the green and yellow for Olympics one day. LA? Is that the goal?
That's the goal.
Wow,
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
I'm going to put it in writing right here that we'll be watching you there. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for today for joining. And I think, the key takeaway is that it takes a lot of sacrifice to get to the top. Sacrifice is kind of the ticket for admission, and, there's years of blood, sweat and tears and missing out on friends' birthdays and things like that it takes to actually be at the top. So yeah, I guess, you don't do it all for the glory. There's a lot of work involved, and thank you so much for sharing your story. And as I said, we're extremely excited for the very successful road ahead for you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.